Hello, it's Deborah from the attic. Hi, welcome. If you're new here, hello. There are over 400 videos for you to catch up with on my YouTube channel, so please visit the playlist for journal making, for card making, and for my real French life. Or, if you're in a hurry, try the coffee break tutorial playlist for quick ideas while enjoying a cuppa. Please subscribe and do hit the like button when you enjoy a video because it really helps me to grow my channel and I appreciate your support very much. Thank you. If you're a returning friend, hello again. I'm going to open today's box from Simon Says Stamp. This is the monthly subscription kit for October, and this is always a really nice moment. I mean, you see the reveal online on the Simon Says Stamp website, and I'll provide all the links below this video. And so you can look at things in advance, but it's not until the box actually receives that you can start to get that sort of giddy moment and ooh, what have we got? So we're gonna discover together. Anyway, we have another of these pouches. Now these are so useful. They've appeared in recent kits. They have this lovely little logo on them, this little paw logo on them, and the Simon Says Stamp information there. And they're fantastic for keeping all of your work together or for maintaining your kit. So each monthly kit can be popped in this pocket, and then you've got a really good storage system for it because we all need good storage, don't we? So I love the pouches. I think they're a great idea. And I haven't opened the envelope. This has literally just been handed to me by my lovely French postman, who always says, "Bonjour madame," and I say, "Bonjour monsieur," because we're in France. And oh, this looks great. Okay. We have the little sweetie. I'm going to keep that to one side. That's always my little thing. And this I saw on the website, and I'm very excited to try it out. One of the things I did like about this when I saw it is it has this protective cover. That's such a good idea for two reasons. One is it will protect the brush, and the other thing is if you have a Sharpie or an alcohol marker pen, you can actually write on here which colour you're going to keep this brush for, because if you have a range of say 3 or 4 different brushes, it's not always obvious what the colour is that you've used it for. I've used it for black ink or brown ink, sepia ink or blue or yellow. This allows you to actually be really specific about what your brush is for. And this is, oh wow, this is so dense. These fibres are so dense. This is almost like a foam top. That's very soft. And it's much softer than any of the other brushes in this style that I've tried. So that's going to be great to check out. This month, in addition to some cardstock, which I'll show you later on in the pack, there are also these pre-cut selections of cardstock which can be used for card fronts. There are 32 of these, and they measure 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. You can see the colour range here. I think this is a really good idea because it means that you can design a whole load of card fronts really quickly, and then when you're ready you can add them to card bases which can be plain white, so you can save your coloured stock, your coloured cardstock, to be part of your card design rather than have your whole card be, say for example, red, because if you had red cardstock, say A4 size, and you cut it down and you folded it so that your card was sort of, folded in half, and the inside was red as well, that can make it quite difficult sometimes to write on or to read, depending on the colour and depending on the colour of the ink that you use. So I think it's a really useful idea to be able to just design your card front on this massively wide range of colours. I mean, 32 of these is fabulous. Or if you're in the habit of getting your A4 sheets of cardstock and then cutting them down to create these sizes, the work's already been done for you in this kit. So I'm really looking forward to using these. There are 3 assorted Susie Plantamura watercard card fronts. I'm not sure if these will vary throughout each kit, but these ones that I have in mind are really lovely. So they can be coloured in and used as card fronts because, again, these are all 4 1/4 by 5.5. We have 3 envelopes. And this one is in this holographic paper with the really crazy colours. It goes mad under the camera lights. And the other two envelopes are metallic orange peel and blue violet. And what's nice about these envelopes is that they have this protective line here, so you don't have to lick these. You just peel off this and stick the envelope down. That's not the case for the holographic envelope, by the way. That's a lick and stick. The die is called Friend Outline, so we'll use that on one of our cards. That looks as if the letters aren't joined. We'll have to join them up, but actually that gives you a little bit more flexibility, because you might decide to use them in a line like that, or you might decide to put them down the side of a card. So it's quite nice that they're not joined up. And this one is called Kaleidoscope. Look at that. So we can emboss an entire card front using this. It's so well thought out. Everything just works together so nicely, and that's what I always appreciate about these kits. These are Stencil speech bubbles. Now this kit is called So Talkative, so this is a very very clever stencil to use, and it's called Talk Bubbles. And our stamp is a 6x8 clear stamp called So Talkative, and we have loads, absolutely loads of phrases on there. It's quite nice to be able to work with words rather than images for a change, so this is going to be a really fun kit to play with. And then finally we have some cardstock. We have 2 sheets of solar white cardstock. Finally, we have this sheet of holographic cardstock. Now, partly because this goes a little bit crazy under the camera, and partly because it makes my eyes go funny, I will use this with caution. I promise I will try not to blind you with how reflective and interesting this cardstock can get. For this card, I'm using all 3 of the yellow pieces of cardstock, and they go from a very light to a sort of creamy to a rich yellow. So I've embossed this brightest yellow card and stuck it onto the panel on the back, so it gives me a nice border. And I've also got my pale coloured card ready, and I'm going to highlight one of these phrase boxes with a Versacolour. This is a canary yellow, and I'm going to use my rather nice little brush to test this out. So I'm going to apply some ink to the brush, and then I'm going to see if I can just highlight the edges of this speech bubble. I'm going to have to be a little careful that I don't get it onto the lower bubble, and I can probably prevent that by grabbing a scrap of paper and positioning it over the area I don't want my ink to accidentally go. So I just want to just pick out the edges. I don't want to cover the whole of the balloon or speech bubble. That's looking okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is ink up one of the stamps from the kit. I'm going to use a black Stays On ink. I've already selected the stamp that I want to use. It's the one that says Hi Friend, and I'm going to leave this in place to help me fix my stamp in the right place. It's a good idea to take your time when inking. Leave your stamp on the card just for a moment or two to give the ink and the card a chance to kiss. There we go. So now I can remove my speech bubble stencil, and because I've inked around this edge here, I can see just enough to allow me to cut it out. Now that I've cut out my little sentiment, I can see that the yellow colour that I used is just a little bit too subtle. So I'm going to edge around the outside of this with another colour, and this is Marigold. This will just help my sentiment stand out against the background. And I think I prefer that version. I've added some foam pads to the reverse of my sentiment, and I'm just going to stick it round about there. That's a nice, quick, simple card, and of course you can alternate the sentiment at the bottom of the card to make it appropriate to what you want to send. For this card I've used some watercolour pencils. This is a set that I have here, and I've used these to colour in one of the pre-prepared watercolour cards with the autumn image on it. I'm just going to let you see these pencils. Whoa, pretty colours, love those colours. So I've added all of the pencil colouring, and instead of using a watercolour brush to colour these in, I'm actually using a glitter gloss pen. This is one from Nuvo. So this has got clear glitter gloss inky stuff in it, and I'm hoping if I turn this towards the light you can maybe see a shimmer, and it adds a little bit of a lovely intriguing sparkle to the colour. So all I'm doing is I'm adding the glitter gloss to my elements, and I'm blending. So on these apples, for example, I'm just making sure I blend all of those in. And then I'm not dipping this into clear water again, obviously, because it doesn't need it. That would spoil the glitter. And then I'm just dabbing off any excess when I move from a dark colour to a light colour, or vice versa. I'm just using a cloth to dab it away to help me keep some distinction between the colours, otherwise it would end up as a muddy mess. But this way it seems to work. I'm going to give that a few moments to dry, and when it's dry I'm going to cut around the outside of it. Let's see if you can see the shimmer. This is my completed card where I've cut all around the image, and I've also used some white embossing powder to set off one of these sentiments on the black card that's part of this collection of cards, and I've mounted it on some foam to raise it a little bit, both the image and the sentiment. For this card I've embossed the holographic cardstock, and I've glued it to one of the card backgrounds. This is playing havoc with the camera lights, I'm really sorry about that. And then I cut a strip of a lighter purple, and I used the friend die to stamp out the word friend, and I've attached it to this strip across my holographic cardstock. And then I found some of these little epoxy bubble things in my stash, and I've just added a few of those. I wanted to tell you something about this die because it's extremely helpful, because you get many different ways that you can use it. I've chosen to use the inside of the words, but of course you could use the outside of the words, or you could use the whole of the letter in this way, and it looks as if then it has a sort of an embossed edging to it. I wanted to show you one way that you could attach these very, very fine pieces. I used the Simon Says Stamp Craft glue stick that came in a previous kit, and the way that I used it was, instead of turning over the letter and just applying the glue to the back, I found it was easier to hold the glue stick like this and press the letter into the glue stick using just a nail. And the reason I used a nail rather than my finger to push it down is because it prevents too much glue getting on your card. And then very carefully lift it up, place it, and again, to avoid spreading too much glue onto my card, I took a piece of waste paper and used that to help me secure it in place. And that way you can use the die in multiple different ways to create your word. We're getting some strong sunshine coming in through the window now, so I hope it doesn't detract too much from what I want to show you next, which is this card. This card has not been glued down because I want to show you its construction, and for this one the construction is more important than the design. Although for the design I've used my ink applicator and some of the speech bubbles just to create an interesting background for this sentiment. But this is how I've got the most out of the card. I stamped my sentiment and I used white embossing powder, which I heat set, and then I used my craft knife to cut this away. So that means that I've got two elements from one piece of card. I've got the background for this card, which I've actually cut down a little, and then I can add this to the top. And now that I've shown you that, I can stick this down. This is my finished card. Obviously there will be a gap in the back, but because this is a top design that's going to be glued onto a card base, the reverse doesn't matter. For my final card, I've actually cut down one of these images that are ready to be watercoloured, and the reason that I've done that is because I like the texture on the reverse. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it is slightly bumpy, and that's rather good. I've white embossed one of the sentiments from the stamp set that says "You're simply the best," and I wanted to make a card that would show you another way that you could get the best out of your brush. My brush has incidentally gone from yellow to green, so that's why I'm going with the colour palette that I'm going with. And I'm going to start with the lightest of the colours. This is seafoam, this is turquoise, and this is bamboo. And I want to do a sort of a blend of these three colours. That's my blending finished. The brush is really lovely to work with. It's very soft, and I think the best advice I can give you on how to use it is gently and slowly. It does apply the ink very smoothly, and that's lovely. This card is very, very subtle. You will only really see this when it catches the light in the right way, and I quite like that. It makes it a little bit more mysterious. And I've got one of the other cards from the kit, and I'm going to glue this down onto it. That's my finished card with all of the very soft, very gentle ink blending, and you will see that the sentiment only really comes to life if the light catches the card in the right way. I quite like that. This is a very beautiful brush to work with. It's very soft, it applies the ink quite smoothly. I did try to sort of overwork certain areas and I tried to make it bad, but and although you can make it bad, the brush actually irons out a lot of the usual difficulties I have with using these sorts of brushes. So I think they're very good. And I'm pleased with that little card. It's nice and it's subtle. I'm going to say thank you very much for your time. As always, if you found that useful, please give this video a like or a tick. And until we meet again, stay safe and take care.